What's up, everybody? Danimal Daniel Jobber here with another edition of Jobbing Out with Danimal Daniel Jobber 205 Live and WWE Cruiserweight Report. How's everyone doing this week? Very interesting week. Of course, the Raw and SmackDown focused on the Superstar shakeup, which really brought a lot of attention to, I guess, those two shows particularly, and what was going to happen with the who was moving to which show. And I'm not going to touch a lot on that because I really want to focus on the cruiserweights, and really, I mean, there's lots of stuff covering that anyways. And overall, I wasn't as much of a fan as some other people were of the shakeup. I don't know, it was okay, and it's nice to see some fresh matchups, in the works. But myself, I thought maybe they just took some of their talent that was really being successful on SmackDown and just moved them to Raw, and took some of the talent that was trying their best but wasn't succeeding in being entertaining on Raw, and moving them to SmackDown to basically see if if they're able to get themselves going on that show. So I don't know. Overall, I'm lukewarm to it. We'll see what happens. It's just nice to see some new matches, and of course it did bring some really good focus to the cruiserweights on Raw, especially, which I was glad to see. They had a chance to really put on a show to, show off one of the main storylines of the cruiserweights right on Raw. As people may have been tuning in especially to find out, who was going to be moved from show to show, so they gave that extra attention. Anyways, right to the cruiserweights. First off, on main event, I had to actually watch this on a YouTube video of a live recording of the match, because my recording actually cut the beginning of the show off, so I wasn't able to see the commentated version. It was kind of neat. I got to see the match as the crowd would have seen it, without the commentation, and the angle was different than normal. And anyways, it was Akira Tozawa versus Drew Gulak, and it was like a very entertaining match, fairly basic, but some fun antics to entertain the crowd. It seemed like they were just basically putting on a show for the crowd, mostly showcasing the superiority of Akira Tozawa and over Drew Gulak. Gulak acting like the typical heel, making the crowd want to see him get beat, and of course he does. Tozawa beats him with a near perfect German suplex pin combo as usual. Can you show Akira Tozawa and his battle cry, getting over with the crowd with the ha ha ha, which seems to be like I said, slowly getting over more with the crowd than some of the other things in the cruiserweight division. So really elevating Akira Tozawa as one of the top babyface stars in the cruiserweight division. But it was nothing too eventful. It wasn't the main event this time on main event. It was just the opening match. So it's a fairly quick, simple match. Good way to get the week off, though. Going off strong, I guess. Anyways, on Raw, of course, as I was saying, this was in the middle of the Superstar show shakeup, which gave it extra showcase, extra exposure. And so during this, they had featuring TJ Perkins, Neville, and Austin Aries. And they had started out with a backstage segment of TJ Perkins interrupting Neville's interview about how he's saying he doesn't care that he's facing Austin Aries again, as he's already proven that Aries is not on the Neville level. And TJ Perkins comes out and acts all high and mighty about, someone's going to make you eat your words. And of course, Neville goes, "What, you?" And TJ Perkins goes, "Yeah, I think it'll be me." And then basically Neville kind of tears him down a notch, talking about how he's never going to be champion, never going to be anything, because of the fact that, the way he's going, because of the fact that since he won the Cruiserweight Classic and was the inaugural champion, basically his career's been going nowhere on 205 Live, and he's not ever going to get a title shot. And it seems to hit home a little bit on Perkins as it shuts him up. And then while this is all happening, out comes Austin Aries saying, "You're not going to believe all this stuff he's telling you, are you? Yeah, he's lying to you and all this stuff. And believe it. He's not trying to be your friend. He's just trying to mess you up." And Perkins doesn't seem to respond to this. It seems like it's like what Neville said is kind of hit home. And of course, as Neville leaves him, he goes, "Believe what you want to believe, but as far as championship opportunities go, there's only one man who can provide those." And then as Neville walks away, you see Perkins visibly affected, shaken up, acting really well, like it's got to his head. And Aries finally asked TJP, "You don't actually believe him, do you?" And he's not trying to be your friend. And then really it does no effect, and you see TJ Perkins walk away coldly and silently as Aries is almost in disbelief that the Neville had that kind of effect on him. really interesting segment to start off a very interesting story twist on the Cruiserweight division. From a storyline standpoint, we all know, of course, that this is quite ironic because, of course, TJ Perkins just came off being involved in a fatal four-way number one contenders match, which he probably didn't deserve to be in, and he still lost the match. So really, it's like, yeah, like he doesn't get any opportunities. Like his opportunities are being given to Austin Aries and those kind of guys. But oh well, I just have to go with it. From a storyline standpoint, TJ Perkins believes he's being denied opportunities because of guys like Austin Aries. Anyways, then it goes to the match, which starts off fairly basic. A double Austin Aries versus TJ Perkins! And of course, Neville's at the announce table for the match. Typical rivalry setup. And this was a short match with a decent wrestling showing, but it was obviously not meant to be a real match because you didn't see any of the typical Austin Aries moves. No pendulum elbow, no heat-seeking missile, nothing like that. It's just basically meant to be an interrupted match for a storyline purpose. Because after a few minutes of these two battling, Aries climbs out onto the barricade in the corner of the aisle and starts showing off to the crowd, and at this point Neville he has no more of this. He won't accept this anymore. So he gets up and he walks over to stare down and face Austin Aries, and they stare down for a minute, and he distracts him, and then Austin Aries realizes, okay, I gotta get back in the ring for the 10 count, so he climbs back into the ring, and he starts complaining to the ref about how Neville's interfering, and while he's doing this, TJ Perkins sneaks up from behind, rolls him over into a small package. 1, 2, 3, huge way to steal a upset victory over the number one contender for the Cruiserweight Championship. And that's quite the shocking development. I mean, here TJ Perkins was just kind of shaken up, and now he gets this shocking victory over Austin Aries. Although, of course, typical for the heel to cost the babyface the match in such a distracting fashion. But as you see, both Neville and TJ Perkins at different side of the ring, and they're both kind of taunting and teasing Austin Aries about the loss. And then Austin Aries goes over to face Neville. He starts having a shouting match with him, and while this is happening, TJ Perkins comes up and attacks Austin Aries from behind, starts kicking him with his foot, and picks him up and does the detonation kick on Austin Aries, completing the heel turn, basically surprising everybody with a full heel turn, and basically giving in to Neville and to almost joining him, I guess, in his giving into his psychological play and joining him as a partner or an underling, I guess. But anyways, this complete heel turn is just one of the highlights of the week, really. Starts the story of the Cruiserweight week off with a bang, and they kind of walk out of the ring together as Neville's all big on and taunting on how he basically cost Aries the match by getting to TJ Perkins. But that's all we saw of the Cruiserweight division on Raw. However, on SmackDown Live, they announced that Kalisto was moving over to Raw, and that he was supposed to be going to the Cruiserweight division. And this is exciting but surprising because Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado were totally off television this week. And so you have 3 luchador-style wrestlers, but 2 of them didn't even get on this week, and now they're adding a 3rd. So it seems weird, but I mean, assuming that they don't plan to give Metalik and Dorado less TV time, possibly maybe they're going to form a stable of luchador-style wrestlers, whether it's Kalisto and just Gran Metalik, or whether it's Lince Dorado involved in it somehow. But you never know; they could form one of the first stable of 205 Live, because so far it's been just a lot of individuals that sometimes team up, but they're all kind of each themselves and on their own and individual personalities. Not really any real teamwork, although of course you did see TJ Perkins and Rich Swan kind of teaming together every now and again, and Jack Kelleher with them as well. But anyways, it could also be that they're trying to elevate the other 2, or that rather than elevating the other 2, they want to go to their most loyal and veteran, most over Cruiserweight style luchador wrestler and get him involved in it to shake up the division, because they're not feeling that they're able to get Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado to the level they want. I mean, it's possible too, but for whatever reason, they're moving Kalisto over to the 205 Live in the Cruiserweight division, and it'll be interesting to see how this changes things, whether this shakes it up or not. Consequently, just as a sneak preview spoiler for next week, though, we do end up seeing Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado at least once, as they are in a tag team match taped for next week's main event. So we will get to see them at least once in the next week, even though they weren't on TV this week. Whether we'll see Kalisto, well, that's another another story. We don't know yet. That'll remain to be seen next week. But it was on one more side note from SmackDown Live. TJ Perkins did announce that he had a match against loserweight and circus freak Jack Kelleher on 205 Live. So you can already see the heel side of TJ Perkins calling out Jack Kelleher. So anyway, that's all of the preliminary stuff. Now it goes right to the big show, 205 Live. And this show is getting better every week as far as I'm concerned. Anyways, the big show starts off with the Brian Kendrick back in action, trying to recover from his shocking rivalry loss to Akira Tozawa last week that caught his Tozawa teaching him lesson number 1 in response to his 10 lessons he taught him previously up to that point. And they quickly recap the moment between the two before the match. And then, of course, this week it's Brian Kendrick versus Mustafa Ali, the rising babyface star of the Cruiserweight division. And the Boston crowd did not start off all that warmed up to Ali. They were kind of lukewarm to it, but they were there, basically. But anyways, they show a backstage scene of Drew Gulak on the phone, apparently continuing to antagonize Mustafa Ali as part of his crusade to shake up the 205 Live by getting rid of dangerous Cruiserweight-style wrestling from Cruiserweights in the Cruiserweight division. Like I said, good luck to you. It's interesting to see how that's going to develop, but I'm not too overly optimistic he's going to get his big results. But that's an interesting storyline. It keeps Drew Gulak involved in something more than just a bunch of squash matches, so it's good to see. And it was after this, Kendrick does a cool heel move, or during the match. Anyways, does a cool heel move. He crawls under the corner, and then as Mustafa Ali kind of reaches underneath the corner, looks underneath the corner trying to find him, he calls up the other side, and he grabs Mustafa Ali, pulls him up, and pulls his shoulder into the ring post from the other side. Just a really cool heel move to pull on Mustafa Ali to get a little bit of the upper hand. Anyways, for the most part, there's some decent back and forth wrestling in this match, showcasing some of the fun skill moves that makes Ali such a great performer to watch. Nothing remarkable about the match, though. It was just a match. Good way to open the show. Anyways, during near the end of the match, there's another backstage view of Gulak on the phone again. Presumably still trying to bring about his changes to the Cruiserweight division. But anyways, Mustafa Ali goes for his 450 splash, but it's interrupted by Kendrick, who does a second turnbuckle neckbreaker on Ali, pulls him down and gets him into the Captain's Hook submission hold. And of course it looks like Ali's going to tap out and tries to reach for the rope, and all of a sudden the bell goes. Ding, 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 and, we're wondering what the heck's going on. And, of course, Kendrick thinks he's won the match, so he releases the hold. And then referee Charles Robinson puts on his usual performance of his greatest hit. Who rang the bell? I didn't call for the bell. Who rang the bell? Always fun to see Charles Robinson perform that. They should do that more often, I think. But anyways, then the camera points out towards the bell, and you see Akira Tozawa take off a hat and holding up the bell, showing that he's the one who rang it. And the crowd does seem to react a little bit to this. They have a sense of the significance of Akira Tozawa being involved in this occurrence. But anyways, Robinson orders the match to continue because he didn't call for the bell. And so they battle on, and Ali quickly drops Kendrick with a high enziguri type kick from outside of the ring, right into the corner, goes up to the top rope, does his inverted 450 splash. This time he hits it, gets the 3 count for the win, and through that, Tozawa costs the Brian Kendrick another victory, another match. So after the match, Tozawa grabs the mic and holds up the hat, which was the hat that Kendrick actually wore when he posed as a security guard to attack Tozawa some weeks back with one of his earlier lessons. And he picks up the mic in his smug, entertaining Japanese voice. He goes, "Hey, buddy, remember this? This is lesson number 2. Appearances can be deceiving." Basically the same lesson he had given him when he attacked him as a security guard. And then he taunts Kendrick again by leading the crowd in a ha, 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 ha battle cry, and the crowd gets into it too. And I had to laugh at this, though, because this was yet another great moment in this story rivalry between these two. This rivalry really was quite the entertaining story, and it was such a long, drawn-out, entertaining one that elevated both of them. For a while, they were starting to wonder if maybe it was going to bring down Tozawa. But no, in the end, it elevated both of them. And of course, now something either has to end, or they have to do something to pick back up Kendrick, because they're starting to make him look foolish. So maybe it's getting to be time for it to end. But yeah, in the long run, it elevated both competitors, because Kendrick's been at the top of the Cruiserweight rankings in my book since then, too. So And it was on a side note, I enjoyed watching the way Corey Graves and Tom Phillips play up their traditional heel babyface announcer role duo in this show. I like the way Graves keeps complaining about the babyface antics and Phillips defends them, and then vice versa. You know, Tom Phillips will praise the babyface antics and then will complain about the heel antics, and then of course Corey Graves will defend him, saying that's just the way it's supposed to be, you know, that kind of stuff. So basically brings me back to when I was a kid watching Vince McMahon and Jesse the Body Ventura do their back and forth shtick that they had back then. So I'm enjoying to watch these two. It's a good thing that's one thing about the two-person tag team, or the announcing the heel and the babyface style traditional. It seems to work. I mean, it's worked for the longest time. It's time-honored, tried and true, and it makes for very entertaining announcing for the most part, because you get the same kind of good versus evil on the microphone as you do in the match. So, but anyways, after the match, they recap the events from Raw between Neville, Austin Aries, and TJ Perkins. And they start to interview TJ Perkins in a backstage segment. And TJ Perkins really cuts a great promo showing off his new personality, saying, "Au contraire, mon frère." I'm not sure how that really fit the question, but it showed a little bit of coolness on his part. This isn't about what I did to Austin Aries. This is about what Austin Aries did to me. Now, I don't want to be playing Neville's advocate here. Neville's advocate. That was an amusing reference, and I think they're going to use it going forward, too, because it actually kind of fits the story, you know, casting Neville in the role of the devil. Anyways, but I'm the victim here. He talks about how despite him being the hero of the Cruiserweight Classic and being, you know, the first champion, how then Austin Aries, he's been a gift to the Cruiserweight division for all these months. Then along comes Austin Aries and takes his opportunity away. And this is exactly what Neville wanted TJP to believe. And it shows how Neville got into his head and got him all fired up. So, good segment, really showing off what's happening and what the state of where TJ Perkins is at. Anyways, he's interrupted then by Jack Kelleher. And Jack comes in and says he hopes in the match with him that, you know, that Gallagher requested, TJ will take a more gentlemanly approach. But TJP says, "Okay, listen here, Mr. Peanut. I hope you can hear me on that high horse of yours, with the British accent. I actually don't want to hear anything from you. You see, Austin Aries isn't the only one who benefited from the bad luck. This is from my bad luck, of course. Sorry. But yes, basically saying that Jack Gallagher has also been elevated from the fact that he keeps losing. Of course, he's been a babyface, so I'm not sure how that works. But yeah, it really shows how they're really showing off the brainwashed state of TJ Perkins and his new character. So it works. It really brings out the new character that hopefully will bring TJ Perkins into a new level in the Cruiserweight division. But it's a great statement to introduce the match as well that they'll have later on in the show, the main event of the night. So that's what it is. Anyways, then we have a middle match, and this is Rich Swan against Johnny Ocean. So once again, they have Rich Swan against a relatively no-name local wrestler, and it seems to be from Boston. But the Boston crowd doesn't seem all that impressed with Swan's dancing entrance, and really the match at all they didn't really seem as much into. Although I think they did show a little bit of recognition of Johnny Ocean. I think he's kind of a local Boston talent, and I think he's a pretty well-known and hated heel. So I think to some extent they do appreciate him losing. But it was Rich Swan's second mid-show squash match in a row, so I wasn't overly impressed myself with it. I mean, I know they want it. The 205 Live wants to give some of the local guest talent a chance to be showcased and stuff. But and there really is, right now there's only 3 matches on most of the shows, and I think they really should give that spot to one of the regular talent. And if they really want to showcase, you know, a guest star like that, have a 4th match, a really quick squash match with somebody else. I mean, it doesn't always have to be Rich Swan either. Of course, in this case, once again, they wanted to have, it wasn't really about the match. They wanted to have Rich Swan get a really quick, easy victory so they can get on with the storyline part of it. But anyways, the match was short, not overly impressive. A little bit of offense from Johnny Ocean, but overall, it was mostly a dominating performance from Rich Swan this week, unlike last week where he kind of was more dominated for most of the match and just won in the end. But anyways, before we knew it, Phoenix Splash, the match is over, Rich Swan wins. So anyways, obviously before the match, they had recapped Rich Swan's announcement last week about how he'd been sending the gifts to Alicia Fox, that Noam Dar has been claiming as his own gifts. And I was saying that, you know, maybe Noam Dar is coming back this week. And it was as Rich Swan goes on the mic and saying, you know, I'm going to tell you why I've been doing this. And then all of a sudden, you know, why he's been giving these gifts to Alicia Fox and letting Noam Dar take the credit. And all of a sudden he's about to answer the question. Here comes Noam Dar's music, and he's back on the show, and he comes back out to challenge him. So he comes out and he calls Swan a liar, and he to say that he sent the gifts himself, and asks what kind of man interferes in another man's relationship. And the two argue back and forth, and then Alicia Fox comes out, and she shows that she's standing by her man, and she once again refers to Rich Swan as a liar, and says, even though, it's obvious my man's sending me these gifts, I can see the way you look at me. And of course, as they're both kind of confronting Rich Swan, out comes the delivery guy with another gift. And Noam Dar grabs the gift and holds it and says, "Get out of the ring. You're done here. We don't believe you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Goodbye." And basically kicks him out of the ring. And so Rich Swan, slides out of the ropes and starts to move down the aisle. And then Noam Dar says, "Now I shall give this gift to the lovely Alicia Fox." It's a cool thing where he moves the microphone away from his mouth and puts it back, so it cuts off the Fox in the middle. Anyways, I thought it was a cool mic trick he did there to get to add a little variety to his Alicia Fox. He always does. But anyway, and then she goes, "Well, what is the gift?" And he goes, "It's a surprise." And so he hands her the gift, and she opens it up, and it blows up in her face, literally, and of course, figuratively in the face of Noam Dar, as this white powder comes out and gets all over her clothes. And just a great moment. It was you knew something like that was going to happen. You just knew this gift was going to backfire. And Noam Dar claiming these gifts as his own is going to backfire on one of these days. Anyways, then you see Rich Swan's music plays, and you see him laughing at them out of the ring, laughing at the two of them in the ring. And the segment ends with Alicia Fox yelling at Rich Swan, and he's doing his leg knee together out in and out dance and taunting them. And then Alicia Fox goes in the middle of the ring and starts throwing a tantrum and starts yelling at the crowd, and just basically it's nice to see the heels get their due. And so of course it was a really neat and exciting, funny development to the segment or to the storyline of Alicia Fox, and it's always fun to watch Noam Dar struggling to hang on to his gold digging tramp of a girlfriend, Alicia Fox. So we'll see where this goes from there. Obviously there's more to the story now, because obviously he's got some splaining to do. Anyways, then they have a backstage interview with Austin Aries, cutting a promo of how TJ Perkins shows a lack of judgment, looking for someone to blame for all his lack of success, and how being Neville's friend will turn things around for him. However, he says that Neville doesn't want a friend, he wants a puppet. He basically wants a guy to stand in between them, and because in 3 weeks he's going to be beating Neville for the title, and Neville wants him to kind of be in between to buffer him, I guess. And also, of course, maybe that'll even keep Austin Aries from getting to this match. But Austin Aries says, "It's not going to work. I'm going to go there, and I'm going to win the title anyways at Payback." So anyways, he, after all this, he says, it's not going to work, and he walks away eating his banana. Just a basic way to get Aries on the show, because Aries doesn't have a match. And to keep the rivalry between him and Neville going, developing as they work towards Payback, their next encounter for the title. So anyways, after all that, we get right to the main event of the evening. Let's get ready to rumble! Gentleman Jack Kelleher versus TJ Perkins! Anyways, the crowd seems fairly lukewarm as Jack Kelleher comes out. But they do warm up quite a bit to him, though, as the match goes on. And later, groups of them are going, "Jack, Jack, Jack, Jack," trying to root him on. TJ Perkins surprisingly comes out to virtually the same entrance as his babyface entrance. The video game and the aisle lit up with the LED video game screen and stuff. Basically, hardly anything changed at all. I think he does a little bit more of a heel gesture right near the end where he gets in the ring, but really, nothing changed at all. And I really thought, and other people did too, that they might change up his entrance a little bit to make him look more like a heel, but as of yet, it hasn't happened. And as he's entering the ring, Corey Graves says that he hasn't been a fan of Perkins, as he has a face that's best described as punchable and a haircut that's best described as criminal. But that he's talented, and when the bell rings, this new attitude might actually be just what he needs to basically be elevated back to where he used to be during the when he was first champion. So it shows, that the heel side is winning over the heel announcer, which just makes sense. But as the match starts out showcasing the typical skills of Kelleher and Perkins, both men try to show each other up on their athleticism, basically doing their inverted body stands, showing how strong their bodies are. And at one point, Kelleher does TJ Perkins taunt while he's out of the ring. Kelleher does his corner handstand at some one point, pointing his leg down twice, backing off Perkins, and Perkins runs into a two-legged kick, basically. Kelleher goes for his Mary Poppins leap at one point, but Perkins backs away into the aisle to get away from it all and has none of it. Of course, earlier on, we had TJ Perkins doing his head scissor flip on Kelleher. Very typical match between the two of them, looking like nothing has changed. However, then there's a good fun start to the match, but then this kind of changes to a much more dark look for a while there. Perkins starts showing off his new dark side, using a lot of slow, vicious, technical and power submission moves, working over the leg of Kelleher a lot, and this causes a storyline injury to Jack's leg that he'll keep selling the rest of the match, which will play a huge effect on the outcome. Kelleher does try to fight back a bit, but Perkins keeps dominating him for, it was quite a while, 5 minutes, maybe more. But anyways, finally, he does get a moment where he's able to get TJP on the top turnbuckle, and he executes this sick German superplex from the top turnbuckle, just dropping Kelleher on the back of his neck. It just blows me away how these guys can take that much impact on the back of their neck safely and not get injured and not ever injure the back of their neck. I really don't understand how these guys are so flexible in their shoulders and neck that they don't get injured. It really blows me away sometimes, because you can take a lot of stuff, but I mean the impact on the back of the neck when you see their shoulders, their neck and their head flush on the mat and then see them complete the somersault, and you see the impact and the momentum. I don't know how you make that soft. Anyways, Kelleher goes for the pin. Perkins kicks out at 2. And then, of course, TJ Perkins continues to work over Kelleher and work over his leg, and Jack keeps fighting back. A few vicious headbutts to kind of try to get the better of Perkins, and every time he does a headbutt, he shows that he's groggy as well, selling the fact that these headbutts take something out of him as well. But he keeps selling the injured leg, and it keeps him from really getting the better of him. And he even has a chance to go for his running drop kick, but his leg injury once again keeps him from doing it. He just keeps basically selling how this injured leg and all the things against him just keep him from getting the victory. He just can't beat TJ Perkins, and nothing he does is good enough to do it. Just telling a pretty good story of futility, how TJ Perkins is just too much for him this match. Anyways, Perkins finally gets the better of him. He throws Kelleher brutally into the corner post, and this knocks Kelleher the rest of the way senseless. And as Perkins pulls him out, he puts him up on his shoulders and does his detonation kick and gets the huge upset victory over gentleman Jack Kelleher. It's quite the shocking victory. I was hoping you might see a heel Perkins get elevated, but I didn't expect him to get a victory over the fellow I have ranked number 3, comfortably ranked number 3, Jack Kelleher. Anyways, as Perkins salutes the crowd with a rude heel swagger near the exit, this time with a little more rudeness than normal. Neville comes out from the back and raises his hand in victory, and you see the two celebrating and showing off to the crowd as you see Jack Kelleher looking on from the ring in disgust. And just that moment, where the show goes off the air with the heels getting the baby face and the crowd, now the sniveling smugness of the bad guys as they leave the show. Quite an upset victory for this new heel TJ Perkins. It's going to really be interesting how this shakes up the Cruiserweight Power Rankings too, which I'll have out tomorrow as the day goes on. This might be significant enough to shockingly bump Jack Kelleher out of his cushy number 3 position. I really didn't think anything could knock Jack Kelleher out, but putting him in this match and using him to elevate heel TJ Perkins in this way could potentially bump him back. I'm going to have to look at all the little subtleties there, and decide if Jack Kelleher did enough to maintain his number 3 spot. Of course, the fact that he was used to elevate a new rising or re-rising star, and maybe you got to give him some benefit of the doubt, but yeah, this could really shake things up. I'm going to be interested to see how the power rankings shake up tomorrow, so hope you'll check out on DanimalDanielJobber.ca for my power rankings. Of course, you'll see them on my Twitter and that, which I'll mention in a minute here. But anyways, Perkins once again is a rising star, and albeit as a heel. And of course, it's Neville, King of the Cruiserweight, and Neville's Advocate. So these things are really heating up in 205 Live and the entire Cruiserweight division. It's going to be very interesting to see where they go going forward. And really, there's some good wrestling this week, but a lot of focus on the storylines and featuring the storylines while they were kind of being a little more in the spotlight due to the Superstar shakeup this week. So, yeah, it was just a great week for the Cruiserweight division, even though we only had one match on Raw. Just the storyline development and really the heating up of all that's going on in 205 Live. This week just really impressed me a lot to what they're doing with the show. So, yeah, great week. If you didn't get a chance to catch it, I urge you to still do so. Hope I did justice, but I certainly don't want to be the reason you don't feel you need to watch the show. It's worth going back and watching. There's lots of good stuff. Anyways, that's everything for my weekly recap of the Cruiserweight division. Once again, I'm Danimal Daniel Jobber, self-proclaimed Duke of the Cruiserweights, and this is my jobbing out with Danimal Daniel Jobber, 205 Live and WWE Cruiserweight Report. You can follow me on Daniel Jobber, at Daniel Jobber on Twitter, with both uppercase letters. On Instagram, I'm Danimal Daniel Jobber with all lowercase letters. This video is always up on my YouTube channel under Daniel Jobber. And of course, all my content and my power rankings are on DanimalDanielJobber.ca, my pride and joy, my website. Always have lots of fun stuff up there. I hope you'll check that out if you haven't done so yet. And leave me some comments. What do you think of what's going on in the Cruiserweight division? What do you want to see? What do you hope happens? And what do you think of Callisto coming to the division? What do you think how that'll shake things up? And let me know what you think of my coverage. Do you want to see something different, or you know what? I'm always looking forward to comments. So, anyways, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. As I always say, to watch a video without giving any appreciation, that ain't right. So yes, all of us YouTubers appreciate the support of thumbs up and subscriptions, especially thumbs up. But subscriptions are a great way to always be up to date on our future content. Anyway, as I said, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, check out my website, and just leave comments. Let me know what you think. And we'll be back again next week. Make sure you check out my power rankings tomorrow. It's going to be very interesting to see how this week shakes them up. Whether, of course, is Neville going to maintain number one spot? Did Austin Aries do enough to pass him? Should be very interesting. I know I'm looking forward to doing them tomorrow. So, anyways, going to wrap it up. You have a wonderful night and a wonderful week of wrestling in the Cruiserweight division. Just wish you all the best. Jobber out!